Hey guys, welcome back to I'm an Actor, Not a Therapist. I'm Sammy. So, what's going on? Um, so a lot is actually going on right now, and a lot of realizations and deep conversations have happened over the past week with my friends and I. Um, let's back the bus up a little bit here because this is going to be a bit of a waffle and things like that. So let's back the bus up a little bit. So back in August, I had a lovely interview um, with Stuart Mackey, and we had a conversation about pouring your stress and your anxiety into your art. About how, in order, when we create art, we put so much of ourselves into it. Our anxiety, our stress, our everything goes into our art. And when we feel the most stressed and we feel the most anxious, that's the time that we really have to start really pouring into our art. And that it was a wonderful conversation. It it showed the tenacity of the artist, of the creatives, to never let anything stop you from creating your art, right? No matter what form it takes. Whether you're an actor or a writer or a director or a painter, like it doesn't matter. As a creative, you pour yourself into your art no matter what is happening, right? And for creative stress, yes, for everyday, normal, life outside your front door stress, absolutely. I pour myself into my art. I pour myself into the videos and the content that I make for you all. I pour myself into my writing, into my everything. But life threw me a very big curveball. I never talk of one of the rules that I set out for myself, one of the boundaries I set up for myself when I first started being able to go live on TikTok. If you guys listen to this show, there's a chance that you follow me on TikTok. There's a chance that you follow me on Instagram, on YouTube, and you're familiar with my work. So there's a chance that you know who I am. So when I was allowed to go live on TikTok, I put a boundary in place for myself, a silent boundary in place for myself, that my 9-to-5 job and my creative career, notice I said 9-to-5 job and creative career, were going to always be separate from each other. I don't talk about my creative career at work. I don't bring work into my creative career. They are very different. They are two very different industries. They do not belong together. And it's two separate lives. Until it wasn't. Until the curveball life threw at me could affect the 9-to-5 job. And that's how I pay my bills. And when that curveball got thrown at me, now let's call it what it is. I'm still fighting the uphill battle. It hasn't ended yet. There's a small light at the end of the tunnel for me, but I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm still fighting the fight. Before the curveball came, I was doing this podcast every week. I was in the process of editing a great show that I wrote for possible production next year. I was producing 10 to 12 videos a week for my TikTok channel and for YouTube and Instagram. I was, every single day, I was producing something. I was writing something. I would close my laptop at work and I would go to my studio and I'd create. And I would allow myself to do this stuff. And, out of this came a fabulous podcast that you're listening to right now. Out of this came some of the greatest writing that I've been able to produce, and some great videos and things like that. However, when life threw the curveball, I put the pen down. I turned off the camera. But I still sit behind the microphone. Y'all, we haven't lost but one episode. I think we've missed maybe one or two. And that's been very hard for me. But here's what happened when life threw the curveball. Because we're all going to get curveballs, right? We're all going to get them. The thing that we can control about a curveball, as we've said in the past, is how are we going to deal with this curveball? How do we move through the curveball? And while I'm moving through the curveball, I'm not doing it by myself. There have been many breakdowns. There have been many tears. There have been many days where I didn't know what was going to happen. I still don't know what's going to happen. All but for that little light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully will work out. But when the curveball came, my brain kicked into survival mode. It kicked into PTSD mode, because before I started at this 9-to-5 job, which, it's a job, it pays my bills. It keeps a roof over my head. It keeps my fridge full. Before this came along, I was in and out of unemployment for years. For years, I was in and out of unemployment. The difference is this time I'm not living at home. I'm living at my own house, where everything is on me. So my brain kicked into survival mode. My brain kicked into PTSD, and I felt my entire world shift. And I've been trying to create. I'm sure if you follow me on TikTok, you'll notice that, maybe the quality is there, but it's not where I'm used to being. And that's me saying this, not critically about myself, just knowing the effort that I've been putting into stuff is harder right now than it should be. I haven't touched the script that I'm supposed to be editing that has a deadline for next month. Because here's the thing about survival mode. Your brain gets completely consumed by it. Your brain, your body, your emotions, your physical well-being, everything gets consumed by it. But, we were still pushing through. We were still trying. As my friends and I say, just keep going. Not in a toxic positivity kind of way, but in a, figure it out, take a breath, and keep moving kind of way. So that's what I was doing. One day at a time, one breath at a time, I tackled the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I was, I've been creating what I can in the brain and emotional capacity that I can create in right now. But this past week, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's come to a head, but it kind of has. And it hasn't been a great week, mentally or emotionally. And, I promised on this podcast that I would always be honest with you guys. I'd always be transparent with you guys about what was going on and stuff. And while I can't give all the details, obviously, this is transparent with you guys. In the past week, it hasn't been great. I owe the fact that I've been getting out of bed to a lot of people. I'm not going to name them here, but they know who they are. And on Monday, so Monday, Tuesday, and yesterday, I'm recording this on a Thursday, today's Thursday. So the past 3 days, I have text people, hey, I'm going to record this tonight. I'm going to get this many videos done. Hey, remind me to take a look at this scene. Hey, I have to, make sure that I record the podcast. And instead, I have wound up completely drained of energy, sitting on my couch, scrolling job boards, and watching TV. Not to say that scrolling through job boards is not productive. It's a different kind of productive. But it's not the productive that I want to be. It's not the productive that I need to be. It's the kind of productive that I have to be. And so I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said to me, you sound burnt out. She said, I know that you say that you're burnt out. She said, but you sound burnt out. Be easy on yourself, do what you need to do, and recognize that this is burnout. That's what this is. You've been running for a month. You've been trying to keep everything up. You've been, you're racing against the clock for this. And that has been your singular thought process, which isn't bad because it's, survival, survival mode and all. But it's just been, exceptionally difficult. And then a friend of mine on Thursday, I was with my parents, and actually a week ago, I was with my parents and they were here helping me set Christmas up and stuff. And my phone went off, and it was a friend of mine, and they said, hey, I heard something was going on. I'm just checking in. Are you okay? And I said, I don't know. So to be honest, I'm 1,000% freaked the hell out right now. And it was the first time that I had kind of said that I was freaked out. Because before that, I was like, I can do this. I've got this. I've had the interviews. I've been sending in my resumes. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. So I'm on top of this. I got this. And after I said, hey, I'm not okay right now, the burnout immediately set in. I think my body was waiting for me to admit that I was not all the way okay, So that leads me to the question, if you're a creative, and this is not rhetorical, feel free to drop me a comment, send me a DM, whatever. Let's open the conversation. As a creative, how do you deal with burnout from something outside of your creative scope? I'm not burnt out because of the creativity. I'm not burnt out because I'm doing my podcast. I'm not burnt out because I'm recording videos. I'm not burnt out because I was writing. I'm burnt out because something that was not in my scope is suddenly very much so in my scope. And it is taking all of my energy right now, all of my mental capacity, all of my emotional capacity, all of my physical capacity. It is taking from me right now. So the art is not so much taking a back seat, but it's sitting in the seat next to me, watching me going, I'm still here. And I look at the art and I go, I know you're still here. I know you are. But I have to get some stable footing before we're allowed to do anything substantial again. And y'all, the amount of burnout that happens when you don't allow yourself the creativity because you know you have something else you have to do to survive for a hot minute. That's a whole different kind of burnout. It's a whole different kind of I need to ask for help. In the last week, I've had to ask for help more than once. I've had to, cry to people. I really try not to cry to people. Usually, if I have to cry at anything, I usually do it like by myself for no other reason than, it just usually hits when I'm alone. That stuff generally doesn't hit when I'm sitting in front of people. But in the past week, I have definitely cried to more than one person. In the past month, I've had to have my best friend come over more than once to just kind of hang out. I was never in danger. Like, let me make this really, really clear because I can see everybody's faces right now. I was never in danger. It was, my best friend just knows me and knows that, there are some times where she just needs to go, unlock your door, I'm coming over. It's not a question. It's I'll be there in a half hour, unlock your door. I've definitely been more I've definitely needed to ask for help. And it's a very weird thing for me to have to ask for help because like I know that we all come onto our podcast and we say, "Hey, it's okay to ask for help." Like it's okay. And yeah, I ask for help. That's why I go see my therapist twice a month. I see my therapist every other week. I do get help. I have professional help. It's the in-between times that I don't. That at this point, I go to my friends and I go, look, I know we're all going through stuff right now because we are, but I need help. I need to be distracted. Hey, can we get on a video call? Hey, can we catch up soon just so that we can talk? It's a different kind of burnout. And a friend of mine and I were talking, and they suggested taking a social media break. They said, give yourself a real break. Post something saying that you need a week or so to take a deep breath and deal with life. And then you go off and you deal with life and you come back when you're ready to come back. And I said, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can take a social media break. Because right now it is the only creative thing that I feel like I have the time and energy for. I can sit on my couch and do a filter video and put it on TikTok. I can take one of my TikToks that I've created and put it on Instagram or YouTube. I can produce what I need to without having to really expend the energy that I don't have right now. On the other side of that, I have an entire notebook full of ideas. So it's not that my brain has stopped creating. It's still doing it. I have an entire notebook full of ideas for videos and, a whole script to edit. And a reading that I'd like to do. I have all of this stuff. But unfortunately, life and the enormous curveball it's thrown at me has left me with very little energy to do what fuels me. So I have not been fueling myself. And burnout is real. And burnout sucks. No other way to say it. Burnout sucks. And as a creator, as a creative, creator on social media, creative on stage, behind the scenes, in front of an audience, it's been very difficult for me to be able to mentally and emotionally handle both. Doesn't mean I'm not trying. Doesn't mean that I don't, like I said, I have a notebook full of ideas. If you follow me on TikTok, you've seen new videos this week. So I have things to put out. I just have not been able to bring myself to create anything new. And I know as an artist, I need to throw myself back into my art. That's the only way I'm going to get through what I'm going through right now. It's the only way I know how to do it. But there also comes a time where you have to take a deep breath, recalibrate, and let people help you. And let your friends surround you. And let yourself occasionally be taken care of. And I'm not asking anybody to like rush to my house and like sit with me and bring me my fainting couch or anything like that. You know what I mean? I'm not there yet, but the fact that my friends and my family have circled the wagons around me, and every day my mom reminds me that I'm going to land. It's going to be okay. We're going to make it work. My friends every day check in with me. Hey, how are you feeling? That's nice. How are you really feeling? I think my friends have asked me that more than once. Hey, how are you feeling? Oh, I'm fine. Okay, how are you really feeling? Okay, well, wait. Because they definitely see through me sometimes. It's fantastic. All this to say that deciding to take a break is brave. It is healthy. Everybody needs a social media break every so often. Even those with enormous followings, they need a break every so often. I just don't know if I'm able to take that break. And not because of momentum, or I think I'm going to lose followers or anything like that. Like, no, it's not that. It's that right now, that's all I feel like I'm able to create. As I'm recording this right now, I'm on a TikTok live. So even as I'm creating this podcast, I'm still producing something because I'm actively doing a live right now. My brain doesn't know how to not be creatively productive in some way, shape, or form. It just is in so much of survival mode that my entire body, from my head to my toes, physically, emotionally, mentally, is completely burned out. And that's what's been going on for the past month. That's where I am from the past month. And it is rapidly coming to a point. But, we continue. We work it out. I allowed myself 3 days to do nothing more than sit on the couch and watch TV and scroll through job boards. Because that's what my body needed to do for 3 days. It could not bring itself to stand in front of a camera. It just couldn't. And this is the lowest I've been for a long time. I haven't been this low in about 7 years. And it's a very interesting feeling to feel this way again. Because as much as the coping mechanisms that I have and the mentality that I have now, I'm a different person now than I was 7 years ago. It's still taking my butt out, man. It's still kicking my butt a little bit. All this to say I will be fine. It will be fine. We will get through this. I will do the things in the next year that I'm meant to do. But real physical burnout, real mental and emotional burnout, it's no joke. It sucks, man. It really sucks. But in terms of taking a social media break, I don't know if I can do it because it's keeping me floating right now. So that's where we are. And that's what we're handling, and that's what we're dealing with. And this will be the last episode of the season so that I can go deal with life and go be with the family during the holidays. Holidays are starting now. So this will be the last episode of this season, but we will be back in 2024. We will be back. I've got some interviews planned and, great topics to cover and things like that. So I'm very excited, very hopeful. And like I said, let's open the conversation. Shoot me a DM, send me a message on TikTok, comment, like, comment, subscribe to the podcast, put a comment on the podcast on Spotify, whatever you got to do. I'd love to open this conversation. But if you guys like the episode, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, all the things. It really does help an awful, awful lot. And I want to thank all of you that have come along for this ride for 2 wonderful seasons. And I have had so much fun connecting with all of you and, doing my interviews and hearing your thoughts about everything. It has been a wild, wild ride. And I very much so look forward to next season. And I hope everybody has a good holiday. I know sometimes that can bring on its own stress and, emotions, but be kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself, try to enjoy the holiday with your family and friends, and I will see you all next year in 2024. Have a great night, everybody.